I am here today with my good friend Mick Lambert. I'll be interviewing Mick about his life, and I'm sure we will get into his main hobby of cycling, which we both love. What is your earliest age you have a memory of?
What's my earliest age I have a memory of? I was about 2.5, 3 years old. My dad bought me a tricycle. And in the basement, he had the sewer valve that come down and had a little plug on the corner. I'm going around that, and I thought, oh, I can close my eyes and go around that. Well, I ended up hitting that plug and had 14 stitches in my eye right here.
What town were you born in?
What town was I born in? A little town in Kansas called Smith Center.
Trace each town you lived in and what age you were in the years.
That's a tough one because I moved a lot, but I was born in Kansas, lived on a farm for 2 months, then moved to Lincoln, Nebraska until I was 11, then went to Boulder, Colorado, lived there. Well, I lived in Colorado 42 years. So in 2004, I moved here to Phoenix, and I've been here ever since.
What is your earliest grade school you remember?
Probably 6th grade. Oh, what's the earliest school year I remember? 6th grade, and it was the year that Elvis Presley and Priscilla got married, and it was the first French kiss I had with a girl.
Tell me about your grandparents, your parents, and siblings.
Tell you about my grandparents, parents, and siblings. Well, my grandparents on my mom's side didn't live a long life. Grandma had dementia really bad when she was real young. And then her dad passed, I think he was 52. On my dad's side of the family, there's 4 brothers. One of them passed away at the late 70s, and everybody else is right at 90. They all were farm people, except for one brother who was the entrepreneurial type. And my dad himself, he actually made cottage cheese for Watts Hardy Dairy. And he was built very well because there were no hydraulics to lift these cans and stuff like that. And my mom was a housewife.
How often did you get to see your grandparents?
How often did I get to see my grandparents? On my mom's side, very rare. And that was just due to the fact, young. My dad's side, I ended up going back to Kansas almost every summer for 3 years and spent the summer in Kansas. Other than that, not as often as I would like to have.
What traditions did you do for Christmas?
I'm going to have to say, well, traditions that I did for Christmas was slim to none because Dad was not a believer in it. He hated buying gifts. He thought it was stupid. So Christmas was not really my favorite thing as a kid.
Were you active in church?
Was I active in church? No. Did I go? Yes, till I was 16, and went to a Baptist church because of my mom. And I asked Dad one day, do I have to continue going to church because I don't like the way they think? And he says, no, son, you don't have to go now, you're 16.
Do you remember your baptism?
No, do not. I know I was baptized, but I don't remember it.
What are your current hobbies and how often do you get to do them?
My current hobbies is cycling. That's all I do. And I do it 4 to 5 times a week at about 200 miles a week.
When did you start cycling?
Well, I have been on 2 or 3 wheels most of my life. There's been some times of 2 or 3 year breaks. But I used to race motocross. I went through the Harley craze. I probably owned 10 plus different motorcycles in my lifetime, and started cycling seriously in 2000, what was it, 4 years ago, 2021. 2 years prior to that, I got my first road bike and I crashed and broke my left shoulder in 3 places. So then I got out of that and decided to play golf, and that was a big mistake for me. So back on the bike.
What age were you when you knew the profession you would eventually end up with?
What age did I know the profession I ended up in? 24.
And what was that profession?
I got into the car business, sold cars for 8 years, and was finance director for 12.
What was your first job?
My first job, I was 15, worked for King's Food Host as a busboy. And I lied on my application, told them I was 16, and they found out about a week later and went, see ya.
What type of place was that?
It's like a Big Boys, hamburgers and onion rings and french fries, and that kind of that place you see in the 50s diners kind of place.
Did you have a mentor in your profession for the automobile business?
Yes and no. For many, I'm going to say yes. Jackie B. Cooper, but he was a traveling trainer, and I guess we got pretty close, and he helped me quite a little bit, wanted me to go to work for him, selling his seminars, but he wanted me to go work for this guy in Florida first, and I went, nah, pass. So that'd be it.
What advice would you give to someone thinking about going into your profession?
What advice would I give someone going into the profession? Don't do it. The hours are killer, and particularly if you get into management, you're going to do 80 plus hours a week.
What was one of your biggest financial mistakes?
What was my biggest financial mistake? Well, there's about 3 of them there. One of them is live within your means. The second one is don't study money so you never figure out how it works, so it can work for you. And then sticking and staying in one career.
What were your hobbies growing up?
Working on cars. What was my hobbies growing up? Working on cars, motorcycles. Liked to play a lot. Rode bikes.
What are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of? I think because I have the ability, according to people I hang around, to teach. I know when I was selling cars, every dealership I ever went to, they go, Mick, will you show this guy how to do this? Will you teach him? Will you shadow this person? Will you shadow Mick? So just the ability to teach was my biggest accomplishment, I think.
What is your happiest moment?
Happiest moment is Mary and Janet, my current wife.
What is your favorite book and movie?
What is my favorite book and movie? My favorite book is Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins. And my favorite movie, that's tough. I'm probably going to be a normal guy and say Die Hard.
Do you have a favorite place you have traveled to?
I haven't traveled much in my life, but the place I really like is Sedona.
Where is your favorite place to drive for a weekend getaway?
Favorite place to drive for a weekend getaway, I'd have to say it's Lake Havasu.
What is your favorite meal?
Oh, that's pretty easy. The favorite meal would be mashed potatoes, cream gravy, fried chicken, green beans, or broccoli.
Do Do you have any current goals?
Just ride the bike. That's the only goal I have anymore at my age.
Do you have a certain mileage that you'd want to do each year?
Do I have a certain mileage to ride the bike? I'd kind of target 10,000. The most I've done is 12.
What do you hope to be remembered for?
That's a tough question. I answered what I wanted to be remembered for one time at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and I got a standing ovation for it. And that was the ability to forgive, forget, and get on with it really quickly.
That's all the questions I have written down. We went through that pretty quick.
Yeah.
What other things would you like to talk about?
Well, some of the things that I have learned here lately, because I drive part-time for a senior center. So because I drive part-time for a senior center, some of the things that I have learned has come from the seniors that are having problems. And one of the things that at least I've learned there, is keep moving, stretch a lot, okay? Do the things that you need to do to stay off the pills, because some of the residents up there, they take almost 20 pills a day. And you know that can't be right. I mean, it's one Band-Aid over the next Band-Aid over the next Band-Aid. And most of them have told me similar type things. Keep moving, don't stop, love, forgive quickly. That's always a big topic.
How did you meet your wife, Janet?
So how did I meet my wife, Janet? On a dating site called Plenty of Fish. So I was about to give up. She was about to give up. And this is funny. Everybody's gonna laugh at this one. But I see this picture, and Janet has kind of short, reddish hair. And I'm not a big, short, reddish hair kind of guy. But her eyes really attracted me. So I sent her a little note. She goes, look, I'm not going to be a pen pal. If you want to get to know me, send me your number, I'll call you. Within 10 minutes, she called me. And we talked like 6 hours a day for 6 days straight before we met. And we met, and 10 minutes later, we thought, there's some energy here. We'll keep it moving.
Do you like cold weather?
I used to like cold weather. Growing up in Colorado, 42 years, I played in the snow and went through some 3 and 4 foot snowstorms. Then I moved to Phoenix and I went, oh, this is so much better. And I take that back. I chauffeured for 7.5 years. And I remember one time I'm up in North Scottsdale and it was snowing. And it's like midnight and I'm waiting, because I think it was New Year's Eve. And ended up being about 1 inch of snow on the roof of this car. I went out and stuck my finger in it and went, nope, don't like the cold. That was it.
Tell me about chauffeuring. Did you have any celebrities that you chauffeured around?
Lots. And glad you brought that up, the chauffeuring deal. I will share some stories. It will be the highlight of your video, I'm sure. But I chauffeured here in Phoenix for 7.5 years. Worked for 2 different companies. The one I worked at 2 different times was Arizona Limousine. And I worked my way up to, according to them, was an elite chauffeur. So I got all the cream of the crop, we'll say, runs. So one of the ones I drove the Super Bowl was the Penthouse Playmates. Was not a fun thing, and total disgrace to their parents. I thought the way they were talking. That was not good, but from the Super Bowl, I've driven Howie Long, Terry Bradshaw, Joe Buck, got a lot of football players, a ton of them. Can't even think of all of them. But there was a lot. The NFL was big. Movie stars, Kathy Bates was my favorite of all of them. Dennis Farina from Law and Order, who most people don't know, but he was the salt and pepper mustache guy on Law and Order. And I drove him a tremendous amount. He always flew commercial, never a private jet. And every time I'd pick him up, if I had a cup of coffee, my tip doubled. So from 50 to 100. That he was really a very nice man, very nice man. My biggest tip I got was I drove the ticket agent for Paul McCartney. And she kept quizzing me all the way to the resort. We got up there and she goes, I know your boss very well. You're going to be off tomorrow night. And I'm going, I can't be off. I'm working. She goes, no, you're off. I'll call John. I'll get it handled. And she said, just go to will call and there will be 2 tickets at the window for you. But I had to promise her I would stand up for 2.5 hours, not sit down. Because I'm in the front row, probably, I'm going to say 40 feet, maybe 50 feet from Paul McCartney. I mean, it was weird because as he's singing, he's looking directly at me. It was weird, but what a treat that was. Never seen a concert like that. You want a kind of a funny limo story? You always think, when you think of a chauffeur, you think high end, lots of money, all the glamour, all the stuff, right? And so anyway, I have this one limo run, and it's this girl's 21st birthday, and I'm picking up her dad, and her daughter's boyfriend. And Dad says, we're going to go out to eat, and so go here, and then we ended up bar hopping. Well, this poor girl got so drunk that Dad finally got her in the car and says, just take us back to her house. We get back to her house, I go back to open up the back door, and she come out and barfed all over me. I sat in this car while Dad was getting her put to bed, drenched in this stuff. And Dad come out and he felt really bad. He gave me $400 to go buy a new suit. So it ended up okay, but oh man, I don't ever want to go through that again.
Do you like working on bikes?
My bike, or something similar to that. But bikes as a general rule, no. Am I a big electric bicycle person? Not if it's throttle controlled. If you got to pedal it, great. Because I probably will have that someday. But the throttle, I think, is a dangerous thing on a bicycle. Do I like selling bikes? I tried that. I hated it. I like selling the accessories, but I didn't like selling the bikes.
Have you had an accident on your bike?
Yes and no. So it'd be about 8 years ago. Coming on it, yeah, 8 years ago. I crashed. A little girl pulled out in front of me on the bike trail, and I broke my shoulder in 3 places. But I missed her, thank God. Other than that, no. So very lucky there.
Tell me about your children.
Do I have children? I do not have children, but I have 5 grandchildren. So people always go, how in the world did that happen? Well, my first wife was 14 years older than I. Her daughter's 6 years younger than I. But her daughter and I didn't get along. My mom always says, you need to date my daughter. And I'm going, no, it's you. So we were together 26 years. And then through her daughter, she eventually got married. And there's my first grandson, who now is 28. And then through Janet, my current wife, we have 2 grandkids here, 13 and 10, and we have 2 grandkids from her kids that live in Illinois. So she's got 2 kids, 4 grandkids. I got a deceased wife, a stepdaughter, and a step-grandson. And I've got a great-granddaughter now because of my step-grandson and his wife.
Do your children and grandchildren live in Arizona?
All but the 2 that live in Illinois. Everybody else is here.
Do you like water sports?
Do I like water sports? Yeah, I do. Jet skis are a blast. I tried the inner tube one time, the big tube, and there was a bunch of us in the tube. Well, the guy driving the boat was going way too fast, and of course, you know where I went. So that kind of thing, no. But the jet skis, yes, I would do that in a heartbeat again. Skiing, no. Boating is fun. I've been on a sailboat and out of the Boston shore. That was really cool. I enjoyed that.
Who's your favorite entertainer and what type of music do you like?
What kind of music do I like? And who's my favorite entertainer? I am an Elvis nut. I could listen to Elvis all day, every second of the day, with no breaks. I've been to Graceland twice. I would go again. One of the things that I'm embarrassed to say, but I'm proud to say as well, I am super emotional. I cry at every happy moment. So when we were in Graceland, I walk around the whole place with tears in my eyes. And then as far as if I really want to party, I'm a 60s rock and roller all day long. Maybe 60s and 70s.
Have you had any health problems?
Have I had any health problems? Tonsils were taken out when I was a kid. I can't really say I have health problems, but I have some things I was born with that are kind of weird. One is my flat feet, which now bother me because I didn't take care of them. Other than that, very healthy, incredibly blessed. But then the 70s hit, and then I've had a couple different surgeries, and not because I did something wrong, it's just part of aging. But other than that, I'm pretty healthy.
What's the big regret that you have?
What's a big regret that I have? Smoking. It hurts bike riding a lot. And I struggle to get a breath of air walking upstairs. So like going to a sporting event, if we have to walk up, I'm like, oh God, come on, can't we go down? Smoking, that big deal.
What age did you stop smoking?
It would be 60. October of 2012. And now that I've been to the doctor, I've been diagnosed with COPD, a light case anyway. And now they've found a little bit of cancer in a couple places. It's real small right now, so we want to keep it there. And the only thing the doc says, keep riding the bike, keep riding the bike, keep riding the bike. It'll help you, keep riding the bike. Don't stop riding the bike. So that's part of the motivation why I ride so much.
What's the furthest you've gone on a bike in one day?
103.5 miles.
And where did you ride on that day?
I'm pretty sure it was the ride out to East Scottsdale. I just remember it was really hot. When I got home, almost passed out.
Do you have another century plan this year?
Oh, not planned, not right now. But if somebody like you wants to go, just let me know. I'll put it together. There's one 140-mile one I want to do.
Do you like climbing hills?
Do I like climbing hills on the bike? Yeah. Is it tough for me? Yes, because of my breathing. But am I a lot stronger because I have climbed some hills? Yes. I would like to be able to do an 18%er, but I don't think I'm strong enough for it.
I notice you post a lot about being at CCV. Is that your favorite church to go to now?
Oh, bar none. Glad you asked about church. When my deceased wife and we separated for a short time, and she was raised Catholic, Never could get her to go to church at all. And when we were separated, I'm living in Dallas. And I happened to call her the year the tornado went through Thornton, Colorado. And I said, hey, are you and your daughter okay? Well, at that particular point, we started talking about trying to make amends and get back together. And she told me she's going to church. And I went, oh, get out of here. No. She goes, no, you have to come to this church because they have a big library in there and all the sales books you want. You can smoke in the lobby. They serve coffee and cookies. And I'm like, what kind of deal are you into? So anyway, it was religious science. And I went and really got hooked. And I noticed things in my life started to change because of the philosophies I have. So here I was looking for a place, and my grandson discovered this church and said, Papa, you need to go. So I watched online first. I loved the music. Then I started liking the message, went to the Peoria church and got hooked. And it has totally changed my outlook on everything. I've noticed I'm a lot calmer, although I don't appear like it, but things don't bother me as much. I don't get angry as often. Yeah, great church.
What were you like as a kid out of high school?
What was I like as a kid out of high school? Well, I dated the same girl all through high school, Linda Christine Crow. I never forget that. Cute little blonde thing. And high school's over, and she decides that she wants to go date, and she married another guy that worked for the city. Her dad worked for the city on the street department. And I asked her, I said, could your dad use some help at the city? Well, he ended up getting me a job at the sewage plant. So I worked at the sewage plant for about 3 years. And I won't get into all the details, but it was an okay job. And I remember I'm making $484 a month. I got $125 a month rent payment. And I want this 70 Mustang Mach 1, and I'm 18 years old. And $2,400, and I've saved like $400 or $500. And I go home, I said, Dad, I want to buy this car, but I need a cosigner. They won't let me have the car without a cosigner. Dad looks at me and he goes, there is no way on God's green earth I'm co-signing for you a sports car. No, not doing it. He said, if you think you're so hotshot, he said, why don't you go to the credit union and convince them? So I did. So I had a $110 a month car payment on this Mustang Mach 1 that I wanted. And from that particular point on, I bought and sold like 14 vehicles in a period of a few years. I had some roommates that didn't have motorcycles, so I bought them a motorcycle so I'd have somebody to ride with. And was pretty wild and crazy kind of guy back then. Then I ended up racing motorcycles for 3 years. That was fun. I started off, of course, as a novice and moved to the expert class in 1 year. And that's slow compared to what you see on TV. Those guys are brutal.
What was your favorite car that you bought?
That would be my Mustang, the Mach 1, without a doubt. That particular car, I built it up, made it go fast, put new gears in the back end, you know, all this stuff. And I'm racing this Pontiac GTO in a rainstorm. He had the 389 with 3 deuces. And I had such low gears in the rear end. My top speed was like 105. And we're pretty close. He's ahead of me a little bit. And I remember looking at my girlfriend and I said, I'm going to slow down. And about that time we started hydroplaning. All I remember is I pulled up the emergency brake, spun the car around backwards, and made an accordion out of the right rear quarter panel of the car. But we didn't roll it or anything like that. So I tried to fix that thinking I'm pretty handy, and I thought, I can do body work. This is pretty easy. and I get a welder and I cut off the rear quarter panel and I ordered a new one and put it on there and I'm trying to weld it. I had the back end of that was wavy like this. So never could get the paint to match. So I sold it for I think $1,400. Anyway, I saw it alongside the highway one day. The rod was through the oil pan. I felt bad. I mean, that was a heartbreaker there. Never took enough pictures of it when it was brand new. That's probably another regret I have. Is I keep thinking, take pictures, and I keep forgetting.
Did you have a favorite teacher?
My history teacher, my senior year, and he pulled me aside in class and he goes, I know you don't like history. He said, you'll regret it someday. But he said, I really want you to graduate. And he said, you're flunking the class. You've got an F. So he made a deal with me. He said, if you will at least participate in class and raise your hand, whether it's a question or a comment or what, just participate in class. I'll give you a D minus, so at least you graduate. Mr. Wilson, he also was the football coach. And I didn't go out for football, so that was probably my favorite teacher because that's how I graduated. I don't know if I want to share some of these stories, but I'll give you little tidbits. In my 8th, 9th, and 10th grade years, I was kind of that little class clown, the instigator. I would do the things like thumbtacks on the seats and firecracker balls under the seat posts. When people sit down, the firecrackers would go off. And I had, I'm not even going to go to there, but I never got in trouble in 8th or 9th grade because the principal of the school, come to find out, he went to high school with my dad's dad. So I found out some dirt on him. So every time I went to the principal's office, I'd just sit there, we'd just talk about the dirt he used to do. So I got away with quite a bit in my 8th and 9th grade year. Fun stuff, though. That was fun. Would I do it again? No, because doing the stuff I did, you'd be in prison here in today's world. Maybe not prison, but you'd kind of juvenile, what do you call it, juvie jail?
Did you ever get into woodworking?
Yeah, I tried. I really tried. I wanted to do it so bad. And me and wood does not work at all. I mean, I really tried. I got on the lathe. I tried to make this pot. I mean, I made it. This thing, it was so big and clumsy and, yeah, woodworking. No, that's not me. I definitely was not an artist in any way, shape, or form. Whether it's wood, metal, coloring, drawing, I don't have an artistic bone in my body, I don't believe.
You mentioned that you played golf for a short while. What was your best round in golf?
98. I shot a 98, a 99, and I think there's probably a couple mulligans that helped me do that. But most of the time I'm 115, 118. Never got close to a hole in one. If there's water around, I found it. The same old thing. How do you stop from slicing the ball? I even had a mentor I found that was a really good golfer, and he taught me a lot, but I still couldn't break 100. I couldn't keep it there. Some of that, and I'm not trying to use it as excuses, but because of my wrist, I can only move my wrist back that far, so I never could do like the tabletop. And because of my flat feet, I never could, I forget how you have to stand, but anyway, one of the feet, I would have to move it way back behind me, and then I couldn't balance myself. And I think that was part of the problem in golf. I never could get a proper stance. And I couldn't follow all the way through because of the left shoulder. Couldn't. So yeah, I give up on golf. My wife would begged me to quit because I would come home with new 4-letter words.
Anything about your children that you want to bring up, or as far as special things that y'all do together?
I will just say, not having kids, but being around being around 3 of them a lot. My 28-year-old grandson, I'm not going to say I mentored him, but I got him into personal development and helped him through some tough times in his life. And he's told me thank you a lot. He says, I owe you millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars for everything you've taught me. And he's definitely on his way. I mean, for a 28-year-old kid, he's like got the world by the tail right now. And works out of the house, doing mortgages. Got a new baby, got a beautiful wife. Yeah, buying a new house. So doing well. And the 13-year-old grandson that's here, I've tried to help him along a little bit. And he now has lost a bunch of weight. He's gotten off the sugary stuff for the most part. He's 6 foot tall at 13, wears a size 13 shoe. And the thing that's kind of funny is I'm always having to go, Javon, I need your help, because I can't unscrew the lid to something. And I'm going, it really sucks getting old, man. You lose your muscles for sure. It's funny to watch him. Then the 10-year-old granddaughter, you learn a few things from those young kids about social media. They do know it. And you have to be real careful because they can get into some things that you really don't want them to get into. That has been caught already a time or two. And then the 2 grandkids in Illinois, one of them took up crocheting and knitting and does really well. I mean, she makes purses and all kinds of stuff and has put it on TikTok for sale. So that's part of her income to go to college. And then the other kid, he lifted weights when he hit 13, he just got real serious and ended up the state champion wrestling. So that, things to be a little proud of. I had nothing to do with that. He did play football for a while. I had a little bit to do with that because we were going over some Larry Fitzgerald drills that he used to do. And he learned how to do those, so I had a little bit to do with that. Not that much.
How about your 2 dogs?
How about the 2 dogs? The 2 dogs that I did not want. And I kind of got guilted into it from family. The little thing like, well, if you really loved me, you would get me a puppy kind of thing. So we picked up one. Her name is Bailey. For a little min pin mix, we think, a little bit Chihuahua maybe, but super smart. I mean, incredibly smart. And then we picked up another rescue, Bella. This poor puppy, a realtor was selling this house and found the mom and her puppies. I think it was 7 puppies abandoned. So when we picked up this dog, scared of everything. And we've just loved on her, loved on her, and loved on her, and loved on her. She's now totally housebroken. Taken a long time. But you definitely can't raise your voice around her. She freaks out. We kind of think maybe guns were involved because anytime she hears like a loud pop like that, she hiding, comes right to you, gets under the covers in the bed, won't come out. Yeah, it's kind of sad, but they're doing good now.
I know you like Legal Shield, and if you were stuck in an elevator with someone, well, not stuck, but riding in an elevator, and you're supposed to have a 2-minute or 3-minute speech, what would you say to convince them that they need Legal Shield?
Well, number one thing, I would not try to convince anybody they need anything. That's one thing I've learned. You say, hey, I'm a member of Legal Shield. You ever heard of it? They go, no. Can I send you some information? You can take a look at it when you get a chance. Nope. Okay, have a great day. Yes, okay, what's your email? That's about as far as I'd take it. I learned that because of all the years I tried to sell it, it doesn't work. One of the things that I have heard lately, and I never thought of it this way in all my years in sales, but you want to look for a prospect, not a project. So don't try to convince anybody. You want to find people that want what you have.
Have you had to use the Legal Shield yourself?
Yes, not lately, but I have. Over my time in Legal Shield, because I've been in it since '95, they have gotten me off of 3 speeding tickets. Those were all in Colorado. They don't do that quite like that anymore because people are going way faster than they should. Because I think the way they look at it, if it's over 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, they're going to call it criminal, and they're not going to represent that. It's 10 or 15 miles an hour, something like that. I had a deal when my wife that passed away, I could not get her insurance, so I had over $500,000 in medical bills. So I paid what little bit I could, and the rest of it, they just charged off. Well, when I moved to Phoenix, I got a bill for, I forget, it was either $100, $200, or $326. And I thought, well, God, I may as well just pay this. I thought, maybe I better call the attorney first. So I did. I called the attorney and they said, don't pay it. I thought, why? I loved the answer. They said, if you admit guilt and pay that one, you open it up and they can come after you for the whole $500,000. They'll garnish your paychecks, attach your Social Security when you get of age, all that stuff. Don't pay it. So that paid for that membership for a long time. Of course, I always use it for the will because you just do it on the app on the phone. It's slick as a whistle. And they update it once a year for you. Yeah, and then I'll call just in question sometimes. I just go, God, did I get screwed here? Or am I right? Am I wrong? And it's just nice to have that legal voice that says, no, you're wrong. They absolutely are right. That way you're not just left out there to go, God, I hope I made the right decision. Another job I had that was actually fun, I got to be known as the guy in orange. I sold windshield replacements. One company I worked for, I learned a lot, but he went broke, and I went to another guy, Blue Chip Auto Glass, who I think is one of the best probably in the valley. But I sold for him and he let me keep the orange thing. And I still can't get away from it. I've tried to get away from the guy in orange and then I end up buying this bike and it's orange. But that was a fun deal. I just had my own little gig, did my own little thing. Didn't have to report to anybody. He paid me like clockwork. Yeah, that was a great gig. But it's getting tough now, so I quit. Have I ever been in jail? No. But yes. So the yes is, I got to know a guy in Sulphur Springs, Texas, that was the auditor for the county. And he goes, we need a jailer. And I was looking for a graveyard job. I said, oh man, I want to do that. I want to learn what a jailer does. What's it like? That was interesting. As a jailer, I had the sheriff dispatcher in one room and me. That's it. And I think we had 50 or close to 50 inmates in there. Oh man. And I was testing. I wanted to see what it was all about on the bad side. So I would let the guys do a seance. You know, they put the blankets up over their cell bars and all that stuff. You know, and I never had a problem, never. And then my last deal, my last day, I never forget, and they had this guy in there. I can't think of this movie. It's where they started out and these two guys dress up as birds. I can't think of it. But anyway, in this movie, they had this big, brute guy, shaved head. And we had a guy that resembled him in the prison. And he was in there. He was going to the penitentiary in Houston for stabbing a guy and killing him. And I had to let him out because they're coming to get him and handcuff him and all that stuff. It's like, holy crap. I'm looking, I mean, this dude is big and brute strength, you could tell. And I remember reading some personal development stuff, and one of the guys says, look, you can walk in front of me and I will not follow. You can walk behind me, I will not lead. Oh, Jim Rohn. I'll walk beside you and you can be my friend, right? So I go back to the cell and I tell him, I said, look, I've got to walk up front, hit the button and open your door. But when I come back, and I told him those three things. So he waited inside his cell and I get back there and he goes, you go first. I'm going, it's not the deal. I just looked at him, just very direct. He goes, okay. So we walked side by side all the way down the corridor into the lunchroom. I give him a bar of soap and a towel, and he goes and takes a shower, comes back out. And you're not supposed to feed him or give him any commissary. They can't have any of that. But I made him breakfast. We're sitting there talking, and here comes the sheriff's in there, you know, and they've got a chain to put around his waist, two of them. I mean, this is a big man. And his last words as he's walking out the door, and he goes, I'm going to look you up, man. You are cool. I'm buying you a Porsche when I find you. I still don't have the Porsche, so he's probably dead by now. But that was kind of an enlightening moment to just kind of say, you know, you've got something that most people don't have. Because most jailers probably can't get away with that kind of stuff without getting hurt. And I know this guy that got me the job, he says, man, he said, you got big kahunas, because that's just stuff you just don't mess with. But it's the same thing. We have, in Denver, you had an area called 5 Points, which is kind of like Maryville here. And it's one of those ones at nighttime you don't want to drive through there with the windows up or the windows down. I'd drive through there with the windows down. I just thought, you know, if you're going to show the fear, you're going to get in trouble. So don't show the fear, just move. And I proved it worked again going to Detroit. And Janet was showing me where she used to live. And there were these not friendly looking dudes. I mean, they just all across the street. We're going to go down the street. I rolled the window down. She went, what are you doing? I'm going, if something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen whether the window's up or the windows are down. But I'm not going to show the fear. We're just going to go through. And that's always worked for me, so I just continue on the same thing. You asked about CCB earlier, and I don't know if you know this, but when we go bike riding, I'm praying the whole time. And kind of my little prayer is, the light of God shines bright around me and the ones that I am riding with, so that everybody in a vehicle can see us. That will keep us safe. Like that. I say that constantly when we're on a bike ride. Don't know if it helps, but it can't hurt. Oh, here's another regret. You'll love this one. We'll end it with this one. This right here. Take care of your damn teeth. Because I got like 12 left.